5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Versus, the podcast where we pit one person, entity, animal, or character from a TV or movie against another, and we do some scientific methods in order to come out with a clear winner.
Very scientific. It's extremely scientific, yes.
It is. And so with this one, I'm really interested. Monty, who would win in a fight between John McClane from Die Hard and Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon?
I've been asking myself that question for years. I often lay awake at night and toss and turn in bed thinking of that very question. So I say it's time to answer it, baby. It's time for Versus.
So this show, this new podcast that we're doing here, we're really going to take a look and explore fights between characters. Now, these could be real people in real life, or they could be characters from like a TV show or a movie.
It's awesome, and what I love about it is it gives us a chance, well, let's just say an excuse to go back and watch all the old movies that we love, all the old cartoons that we love, or at least brainstorm about what would happen between a lion versus a tiger.
Or if Fred Flintstone was going to fist fight Yogi Bear, who wins? That's a hell of a matchup to discuss.
That's incredible. I mean, those are the things that dreams are made of. And I'm really excited about this because I've been going back and watching kind of in advance because we know what we want to do coming up for episodes. I've been going back and watching these with my son, and he's young, he's 10. So he's at that age where we're not going for the hard R right now, okay? If we do have an R, we have that conversation about what's real and violence and that sort of thing. And obviously, I'm avoiding any of the bad stuff. But we went back and we watched, and it's PG-13, but this is like one of his first PG-13 movies. We watched The Matrix, baby. For the first time, my son watched The Matrix. And I remember going to see The Matrix back in 1999. I went to a Catholic school. We had a holy day that day or something, and we had the day off, and me and one of my best friends went and saw The Matrix, and I had no idea what this movie was. I hadn't seen a preview. I had no idea. He just said, we have to go see this. It looks really cool. So I think I was probably one of the first people in the world to see The Matrix, and now I got to show it to my son. And even with the special effects not being, back in the day, they were really cool, right? You remember seeing The Matrix and going, wow, the bullet scenes where they're dodging bullets.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool then, and it doesn't quite hold up now compared to everything. But even that, he loved it. And it was so cool to just see his eyes light up, seeing some of the stuff and thinking some of the thoughts that we thought the first time that we saw The Matrix. Now, granted, I was 17 at the time and he's 10, but I was there to guide him.
Mr. Anderson.
Oh, Mr. Anderson.
We've all sat back and said, okay, who'd win in a fight between an alligator and a crocodile? Well, this is the show we're actually going to talk about it, okay? And we will be talking about that specific fight in a different episode. But this one I'm really, really interested in, just, as you brought up, we get a chance to go back and relive our childhood in a way because, I mean, look, Die Hard came out when we were very, very little. Lethal Weapon came out when we were very, very little. Back in the glory days of the 80s, fantastic, two great movies, two great actors, two great storylines. They're classics. And so this one, I'm with you, man. I've been really pumped up trying to figure out who's going to win in a fight.
And I'm thinking about just the actors as you say that, how far they've come and where they've ended up. I mean, Bruce Willis, he stayed pretty strong throughout the whole ordeal. He hasn't really dropped. He's done a lot of those, like, really, Bruce Willis is in that? That's straight to video? Yep. Like, how'd that happen? Does he owe someone money?
He does.
Is Demi getting all of the divorce money?
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Demi Moore. I was married to Bruce Willis for the first 3 Die Hard movies, which makes sense because the last 2 sucked.
Mel Gibson, I don't think he ever had any major flops. I don't think anything career-wise went bad for him, but personally, he had some issues. So they've ended up in kind of different places, but Mel came back. He's back with it.
Well, Mel is kind of he's kind of in a different arena than Bruce Willis, because Mel is a director. Of course, he did Braveheart, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. Great
Fantastic.
acting.
Best. Now that won Best Picture.
That won Best Picture. Yes, absolutely. It sure did. And so they're, Bruce knows how to play Bruce. Okay. And, Mel Gibson's probably a little bit more versatile, and Mel Gibson's very, very funny. Now, look, no, Bruce Willis is funny too. But overall, I think, when it comes down to a career, yeah, Mel Gibson's had some problems, but he's kind of had a more all-encompassing career than Bruce Willis has, even though Bruce Willis is a classic actor.
And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
Who would you rather have dinner with? Dinner, a few drinks, and maybe, hang out a little bit. Who would it be?
See, that's such a tough one, because
It's
I
tough.
really like Mel. I really like Mel Gibson.
Mel's cool. He's really cool.
He's cool. I got to go with Bruce Willis, though. He seems like he would have a better sense of humor. And he's less angry. I don't know.
It
I
seems
think
like
I'm going with Bruce Willis.
I think I would go with Bruce as well. I think we would just have a little more fun. Just to show how cool he is, when his ex-wife Demi was dating Ashton. Remember that? Ashton Kutcher, Debbie Moore were an item, and she was like the original cougar, because she was 35 and he was 15. I mean, it was a big age difference, and he didn't care. Bruce was cool as hell. He'd go hang out with them.
Right. It was weird, and like a kinky three-way kind of a thing.
I'm going to come to their house and hang out.
Yeah. It's like, he's like, hey, I've been there, Ashton. So, look, I know my way around the battlefield. If you catch my drift, Ashton, I'm sure he had that conversation.
Was Bruce the original cuck?
He may have been, or he may have been one of the bulls. He could have been a bull, and maybe Ashton.
I'm thinking
cucked.
Ashton was the cuck in that situation.
Well, and look,
this is Bruce.
Demi Moore back in the day when she was doing striptease and Disclosure. I mean, was there a small as kids that were in junior high, Monty? I mean, you couldn't really beat that.
Oh, she was gorgeous, and she had the short hair, and that's back when the short hair thing in the 90s
that was
in.
She had the short hair in the 80s. She had the longer hair in the mid 90s.
No, in the 90s she did the Navy SEAL movie. What was her Navy SEAL movie?
That was late night G.I. Jane, and that was
G.I.
late
Jane.
90s. Yeah. I'm talking about early to mid 90s when she did Striptease and Disclosure. That's like 92, 93, 94.
Oh, she was gorgeous in Striptease.
Yeah.
That wow. Yeah, no, everyone was definitely into that, and she, doesn't look bad to this day. Still holds up really well.
No, you wouldn't, Monty, you wouldn't kick her out of the sack.
No. And Bruce, as far as, handsome men, he's really held up well. Who would have known him going bald was great? It was like the best thing that ever happened to him. One of the rare people that when they lose their hair and they go, we're going to shave it, no weird shaping ears, nothing else. He kind of became the quintessential bald guy that looks cool.
Oh, yeah. And that's why, look at The Rock. The Rock kind of followed him, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Bruce Willis was the guy who went bald and who's a total badass. And when he shaved his head, he didn't have that 5 o'clock, receding hairline shadow. It just looks good. It looks great. I'm a shaved head guy, and you keep your hair pretty short. And bald men, we consider ourselves a club. We're in a club.
Bruce is, he has inspired us, and he would be the president of the No Hair Club for men.
No shit. He's fantastic. Okay, let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. Okay, Monty, you getting pumped up? Because I'm sure our audience, you guys listening out there, you're getting really, really excited about who's going to win between John McClane and Martin Riggs.
I am psyched. This is cool. We have spent a lot of time, folks. We've watched the movies. We've gone over the numbers. We are here to provide the facts for you and our opinion. Let's get excited right now. It's time for John McClane from Die Hard and Mr. Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon. Let's do it.
Do you really want to jump? Do you want to?
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess.
Hey, you want to see Craig? I'll tell you.
Yippee-ki-yay.
motherfucker!
So, Monty, here we go. John McClane. Now, this guy was born in 1955. So nowadays, and by the way, we're saying that this is going to be happening back in, let's say this fight's going to take place in 90?
Yeah. What's that put him at now? If 1955, he was born.
So 55 to 90, that would be in, let's see, he would be 35 years old.
Our math is not the strongest thing that we do.
No. So 1990 minus 6, 35. So let's say, look, we're going to start this like right now. These guys are much older. I mean, they're in their like pushing 70s, right? So this is the show where we're going to talk about John McClane after the first Die Hard and Martin Riggs after the first Lethal Weapon. So John McClane, he was born on May 23rd, 1955, and he's from Jersey. So he's kind of got that rugged, blue collar, don't fuck with me kind of vibe.
You don't mess with people from Jersey. You don't. I mean,
no.
The best t-shirt I've ever seen about Jersey is it says New Jersey and it's got a picture of the state and it says running out of places to hide the bodies.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's Irish-American cop. His mom's a house cleaner. He went to Catholic school, so he's the typical quintessential kind of East Coast guy. But, look, just like Batman, his parents died when he was growing up. And at some point, he moved to New York City and became a cop. And, he was a beat cop, and then he kind of worked his way up to lieutenant and promoted to detective eventually. So that's kind of like where McClane comes from. And so McClane started out as a cop in New York. Then he went to L.A. Then he went back to New York.
To be noted, he wasn't jumping from Hicksville to Morrisonville. He was going from LA to New York, folks. Those are tough beats. If you're a cop, I mean, really, that's the front line.
Well, he went from New York to LA, LA to New York. That's 2 moves. That's pretty fucking hardcore.
Yeah, that's like, this isn't hard enough for me to be a cop in New York City. I need something tougher. I'm going to go to LA. And then he goes to LA and goes, I've cleaned this city up. Now I'm going to go back to New York and finish what I started.
Correct.
Okay, so Martin Riggs. Martin Riggs born October 16th, 1949. So 6 years.
A little bit older.
Almost 6 years, five and change older than John McClane. So Riggs joined the U.S. Army at age 19. So he's out of high school. He tries working for a year. Things don't work out. He decides to go into the Army. And of course, having the skills and the abilities he has, he ends up becoming a member of the Special Forces. He received specialized training in weaponry, hand-to-hand combat, things that we see in all of his films. These skills later served him extremely well when, of course, he became a police officer. But most of the time when Martin Riggs was in the Special Forces, he spent that time in Vietnam, where he served as, get this, an assassin under the CIA's Phoenix Project. Now, this was a big part of the first film, the people that are associated with the Phoenix Project, and the fact that he was involved with the CIA, went from Special Forces to CIA, even means he's more of a badass than most people know. Now, later Riggs became that police officer, and this is when he married the famous Victoria Lynn.
Right.
And this was his love of his life, and tragically, she was killed. There was a car accident after 11 years of marriage, and it just dug him into this deep depression. So he was almost driven to the brink of suicide at this point.
Well, he tried killing himself. He was messing around with the gun and the bullet and Yeah,
I think that's really what made him so good, is that he almost wanted to die. He did want to die, but he didn't care if he lived or died. He just wanted to help people, and this made him fearless. So he became the cop that we all know and love, Mr. Martin Riggs. And with all of his training, he truly was a lethal weapon. Oh, yeah, baby.
So here we go, Monty. So this is the way this is going to work, folks. This is the contest. 1 point is awarded for each win in the category. Okay, so if there's a category, if Riggs gets it, he gets a point. If McClane gets it, he gets a point. And we're going to start off with real simple, basic stuff. Okay, the size of these guys. Now, it looks like McClane would be much, much, much shorter than Riggs, because I don't know. It seems like Riggs is a lot taller. Maybe that's just like the outfits he wore, or I don't know, the style. But
neither of those guys are known for being super tall guys. It seems like that all these guys, are always bigger in the movies than they are in real life. I don't know how tall the actors are, but Riggs seems to me to be the same size as McClane, at least from what you could see in the movies. I don't see a huge difference. Like if you're talking about like a Schwarzenegger or a Dolph Lundgren, obviously bigger, taller guys, but they seem to be about the same size.
Well, if you remember, this is why I think McClane is actually smaller than Riggs, but I'm actually wrong. So remember in Die Hard, when Hans Gruber says, "Carl, hunt that little shit down." That leads me to believe that he's a much smaller guy than you think. You know what I mean? Like
you would think that, he's this tiny little dude, but maybe he was kind of like thinking of him as like a nuisance, a little rat, that little shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. So size. It's pretty simple, folks. We can't amplify this. So Riggs is 5'9", 214 pounds. Pretty solid.
Solid, yeah.
McClane, 6 foot, $185.
Ooh, man. So you're saying Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon is 5'9", so he's shorter than John McClane at 6 foot, and that's an advantage. 5'9" versus 6 foot, that does give you a little bit of advantage there, but 5'9", 214 or 6 foot, 185. I'm going to go with the 5'9", 214 guy.
See, look, here's the thing. I think being taller, McClane probably has a better reach, but he's also 30 pounds less. So when you're talking he's 3 inches shorter, Riggs is 3 inches shorter, look, 30 pounds, 3 inches. I think I'd rather have the 30 pounds than the 3 inches. So I agree with you. I think Riggs takes that one.
Well, and Riggs with the Special Forces training, he's not going to trade blows with this guy and let him use that reach. He's going to get inside. He's got a lower base to the ground, so a better center of gravity. He's doing some kind of, jiu-jitsu hip toss there. He's got him on the ground. So I'm going to throw that up to, based on size alone, I'm going to say, because it almost looks like it evens out. 6 foot, 185, 5'9", 214. I'm going with Riggs as well. So we're going to say advantage Riggs. He's getting a point there.
Advantage Riggs. I agree.
So this next category is extremely important. This, you can't ignore it. It's total number of fatalities, baby. This is how many each individual character has taken out throughout all their films. Now, it's important to note here that there have been 4 Lethal Weapon movies and 5 Die Hard movies. So just kind of keep that in mind. But really, there's such a difference between these numbers here, Snyder, that it's not really going to matter. After all 4 Lethal Weapon movies, Mr. Martin Riggs has killed a total of 38 people. Pretty impressive. Pretty good.
Pretty
Yes,
good,
but when you start getting into the Die Hard, John McClane, he has killed 73. With only one extra movie, 38 and 73 from John McClane and one extra movie, I'm going to throw this to Die Hard to John McClane for sure. He wins total number of kills. He is certainly the most lethal as far as cinema is concerned.
He's got McClane's got 73 kills. Martin Riggs got 38. It's a no-brainer. Total number of kills goes to McClane. No, hands down.
Hands down.
So these next couple, Monty, and I'll start out with this one. It's very, very easy. Best hair. Is it really even much? Bruce Willis, he's kind of got that receding hairline. He kind of has that poof, kind of like Kramer does. But,
he had hair. He had hair in
he had a little
the
bit
first
of hair.
And the second Die Hard. He had hair in the third Die Hard.
But best hair, you got to go with Riggs because he's got the mullet.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, no.
Riggs gets,
no doubt.
In my opinion, I think Riggs gets the point. Best hair goes to Martin Riggs.
Best hair, Martin Riggs. He gets the point. Okay, next one, kind of in the same vein here, all right? So here we go. Best body. This kind of goes straight to Martin Riggs as well. I think he's the only one who actually exercised. At least he's the only one that looks like he's exercised because, John McClane is always just kind of like the everyday man, maybe a little bit of a pooch belly. He's rocking the wife beater with the receding hairline. He smokes. he's not a guy that exercises. No. So I'm going to give best body, hands down, Martin Riggs.
Well, yeah, I mean, Martin Riggs wears those jeans with the cowboy boots. I mean, the guy's in good shape. To put, you wearing jeans and cowboy boots, you're probably in good shape. So
yeah,
I'm with you.
I mean, those are synonymous with exercise or jeans and cowboy boots. Yeah.
So this next one, again, most athletic. This goes to Riggs. Clearly, he's more athletic. He knows more. He's got better movement. So yeah, Riggs, much more athletic than John McClane.
Important category. It really is. I mean, you can be someone who's strong. You can be fit, but it doesn't mean that you're versatile. It doesn't mean you can move, that you're athletic. And if you're going to be a guy that's going to be avoiding bullets, you're going to be a guy that's going to be trading blows, you want to be athletic. And I'm not saying that John McClane is not tough. He's definitely tough, but athletic-wise, if I'm going to pick someone to be on my dodgeball team, I'm going with Martin Riggs.
Oh, absolutely.
So next on board here, this was kind of a tough one. It's best marksman. So this is who can shoot their gun the fastest, the most accurate, who does the best with their weapon, the best marksman. So, John McClane has shot a lot of people. That is for damn sure. But he seems to shoot a lot of rounds. He does. Shoot a lot of people to hit them. Martin Riggs, this guy's military trained. He was CIA assassin. In the first one, the guy gets the drop on him while he's got the sniper rifle lined up and he's taking people out. They come up behind him, and the guy, you remember, he puts the rifle behind him and says, "Son, even you aren't that fast." Meaning, don't turn around and try to shoot me because I'm going to blow your head off.
That's it, you son of a bitch. Good night.
Don't try it, son. You're not that fast.
He was a sniper at that point. I think hands down. And if you remember the scene, Murtaugh and Riggs are in the shooting range. He shoots the smiley face into the shooting range there, into the target. So I think that really shows that he is clearly the best marksman.
Nah, see, and I kind of got to disagree with you. Look at the very end of Die Hard. Classic scene. One guy, one gun, 2 bullets. He duct tapes it to his back. And then he goes, boom, he shoots one guy through the head.
The pressure was on.
And
it was a single shot. I get it. Yeah.
Gruber center mass.
Oh, yeah. What was it you said to me before? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's a great shot.
It was a great shot. It really, really was. But overall, do you really think John McClane could shoot the smiley face?
No.
Yeah, you hesitated. Yeah. No, John McClane cannot shoot the smiley face.
I got to tie it. What's your
I
pick?
can't go near a tie. I mean, just evidence-based alone throughout all the films, as far as being a crack shot, there's never a scene where John McClane stops and squints one eye and takes this amazing shot. They never make a point of showing it. So I say, just based on evidence that we can look at alone, being that Riggs is a sniper, being that Riggs was CIA assassin, so he obviously knows how to shoot because of that, okay, thus the sniper, and being that he shot the smiley face in the shooting range with he was shooting a 45 at that point. It was either that or a 9mm, and he was shooting it from long distance and no laser sight, no nothing. I'm going to say evidence-based alone, we have to, and we're going to hear it in the comment section if we don't, go with Riggs as the best marksman.
Okay, so... yeah, you think it's Riggs. I think it's a tie, but here we go. Next one.
This is a huge lead right now because we give that point to Riggs. He's ahead 5-1 right now.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now, he's beating the shit out of McClane. So here we go. Best hand-to-hand combat. Now, John McClane is a scrapper. He's an East Coast kind of street fighter. He's the type of guy that's going to bite your ear off, and he's a scrapper. Now, however, Riggs, because he has the Special Forces training, best hand-to-hand combat, it's got to go with Riggs. I can't disagree. Again, as far as the fights we've seen, you're right.
he's a scrapper. John McClane just scraps. He's hard to take down. He's the New York tough guy. He's that quintessential rough, tough cop. But as far as really being trained how to do things with his hands, Martin Riggs, hands down. So Riggs gets another point, 6-1 up. If there's anybody that can make a comeback, it's John McClane.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you always count out John McClane. He's one man with one gun against 12, 13, 14 terrorists. He wins. You can never count the guy out.
So let's go there then. This is one that I think is fairly obvious as well. This is best use of a normal object as a weapon. So this is, you know, they find a broomstick, or you remember in the Bourne Identity movies when he finds the ink pen and he just starts stabbing the heck out of the guy, and he's got the newspaper he rolls up, or the magazine, and he's whacking him with it. Best use of a normal object as a weapon. Who's it go to?
This goes to McClane. Absolutely, it goes to McClane. Look, he used an icicle to stab a dude through his face in Die Hard 2. I mean, he definitely... How many things has John McClane gotten himself into when he's got himself out of the jam by using, you know, different types of weapons, different types of objects, different types of...
He wrapped a chain around that guy's neck. I mean, anything that's out there, he fights with what is around him.
So absolutely, he's going to win. Now, hand-to-hand, Riggs wins, but normal objects as a weapon, John McClane wins this round, man.
John McClane gets it. So we are currently at 6-2, baby. I don't know about this next one.
This one's a tough one. So, okay. This one is the one that'll keep you awake at night. Best overall fight in a film. So, you've got Riggs versus Gary Busey. Remember, Gary Busey played that Mr. Joshua guy who could take like a cigarette lighter burning against his skin.
This is prior to Gary Busey's brain injury.
Nothing but respect for Gary Busey. I fucking love Gary Busey.
Gary
he was
Busey's
awesome in
great.
Point Break.
He was awesome in Point Break. He Terminator or Predator 2. He was fantastic in Predator 2. But the reason you've seen him have issues is because he did, I think it was a motorcycle accident. He did have some brain injury. So that's when he started to act kind of crazy. And people took advantage of that for a while and filmed him or whatever it may be. So tragic thing that happened there. But yeah, Riggs versus Mr. Joshua. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed Gary Busey, who was normal and in decent shape at the time, that fight at the end there, that's a great fight. That's one of the best all-time action movie final fights.
It is, because basically all the cops were standing around, and he's like, look, I'm not going to arrest you. We're fighting hand-to-hand combat to the death. And I love that. I love the cops all stood around and watched, because he's like, no, you're not going to arrest him. You're going to let me deal with him. So that's a great fight scene.
It is. And at the end where they both draw on him at the end and they both shoot him together, Danny Glover and Martin Riggs. I keep saying Danny Glover, but you know, Murtaugh and Riggs shoot together.
Riggs,
Murtaugh, get my office. That's a really great scene. So that's fantastic. But the fight between John McClane and we're just going to call him the blonde-haired guy, the blonde-haired German.
Yes.
That fight that they have at the end, where that's when he wraps the chain around his neck and hangs him at the end. That is an amazing fight in a film too. One of the absolute best.
And by the way, McClane wins this round because he actually says during the fight with the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to cook you, and I'm going to eat you. That is a great line. He beats the shit out of him. He wraps the chain around his neck. He takes a bullet in the back. Remember, he actually gets shot in that. I mean, that is a like, Carl was like that skilled Euro trash kind of fighter, and McClane's the scrapper. Best overall fight, McClane wins that one, absolutely.
You know, I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to have to say, as far as length of fight, because it's a much shorter fight, the McClane versus the blonde-haired guy. I'm going to go with length of fight, you know, the technical side of the fight, the just, you know, overall enjoyment of the fight. I'm going to go with Riggs on this one versus Gary Busey. So we're going to have to call this one a tie.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard!
So the next category, best overall movie. Now, we're only talking about the first films, okay? Both of the first films. Now, Die Hard and Lethal Weapon can kind of both be considered Christmas films, and I think they are Christmas films. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, period. And I think Lethal Weapon could be considered a Christmas movie too.
So a lot of the movies that Shane Black wrote are kind of centered around Christmas. He wrote The Long Kiss Goodnight, takes place during Christmas. He's a very action Christmas oriented guy. So it's definitely a Christmas movie. Lethal Weapon is, and definitely Die Hard is a Christmas movie. We know that for sure. So the question is, I guess, which is the better Christmas movie?
Die Hard. Die Hard wins this one. It's a better Christmas movie. The Santa, now I've got a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. Look, best overall movie for the first, Die Hard is a classic. Die Hard wins that one.
As much as I love Lethal Weapon, I'm an owner of all of those movies. I'm also an owner of all of the Die Hard movies. And I would say, as far as the best Christmas movie goes, absolutely, without a doubt, Die Hard. And as far as the best movie overall goes, I'm going to say Die Hard as well. It's just a classic. Lethal Weapon, you think of all the Lethal Weapons, but Die Hard, when you say Die Hard, you don't think of Die Hard 2, 3, 4, or 5. You think of the original Die Hard. So I'm going to throw that one up to McClane. He has the best first movie. Now, the next category is the exact opposite of that. This is the worst overall movie, because this happens all the time. You get great movies that come out, and then sometimes you get sequels that are better than the originals. Terminator 2, better than the original one. But then you get a Matrix Reloaded where you go, what happened? Okay, you shouldn't have done this. So as far as, worst overall movies go, when you start to make more than 2, you make 3, 4, and, in the case of Die Hard 5, there are some stinkers that are out there too. So what is the worst overall Die Hard, and what is the worst overall Lethal Weapon movie? So the worst overall Die Hard movie is Die Hard 5, the last one that came out. It's a Good Day to Die Hard. His co-star in that film, I can't remember the guy's name. He was in the Suicide Squad as well, and that was a flop and terrible. Any movie that guy's in is terrible. Stop putting this guy in movies. Your movie's going to fail. In Die Hard 5, although it made money, just sucked. It's part of my collection because it's part of the Die Hard collection, but it really sucked. Die Hard 5, definitely the worst of all the Die Hards.
Die Hard 5, definitely. Definitely. Now, the worst of all of the Lethal Weapons, it's got to be Lethal Weapon 4. They added in Chris Rock. It didn't work. It was a big miss.
Yeah, I don't want to say big miss because it had Joe Pesci, Chris Rock. There were some funny scenes with him. He got Murtaugh's daughter pregnant. They're married already. There's a lot that goes with that. So yeah, it did have Jet Li in it, which, Jet Li's awesome, but I don't know if he was the best mix for Die Hard. So yeah, there's some challenges there. So if we were to agree that yes, the worst Lethal Weapon is Lethal Weapon 4 and the worst Die Hard is Die Hard 5, which movie would you rather not watch? I would rather not watch Die Hard 5 than watch Lethal Weapon 4. If I had to pick, I would go for Lethal Weapon 4. So as far as best worst movie, I'm going to say Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall, Riggs takes this one again. Die Hard 5 is almost unwatchable. Lethal Weapon 4 I'd rather have. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, Die Hard 5 was a piece of shit. It truly was. That was a garbage film that I don't think anybody enjoyed. And I blame it on that guy again that was in Suicide Squad, whatever. He was the boomerang guy and it wasn't that great.
It didn't work.
Yeah, did not work. No.
Okay, next category. Most box office take worldwide. So what we did is, out of all of the films, which film for each series grossed the highest? So here we go. In Die Hard 4, McClane took home $134 million.
I love Die Hard 4, by the way. I think that is a fantastic film. It is, my orders of Die Hards go Die Hard 1, best Die Hard of all. Okay. Second best Die Hard of all, Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Sam Jackson was in that great film. Okay. And then Die Hard 4. I'm a huge Die Hard 4 fan. And then Die Hard 2. And then, of course, Die Hard 5 is last on the list. That movie sucks.
Yeah. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. So here we go.
Seriously, you're going to put a 4?
I would put 2 over 4. Absolutely, I would. I love it.
you're going to put
guy
two over. You're
gets
going to
sucked into the jet engine. That was fucking cool.
But he's on a Harrier jet in Die Hard 4. I mean, he literally like defeats a Harrier jet and jumps off of it onto a semi-truck.
See, it's just too bullshit. I don't buy it. But a guy getting sucked into the engine of a jet wing, nah, I'm buying that.
That's way more realistic, yeah.
So McClane in Die Hard 4 took in 134 million. Riggs in Lethal Weapon 2, which is a fantastic movie, takes in 147 million. So Riggs wins that one.
You can't argue with numbers. Yeah, that's not worldwide. That is just U.S. box office. Worldwide, these films made a lot more. And obviously, Die Hard 4 would have the advantage there because the world market was even more open when that movie came out versus when Lethal Weapon 2 came out. But yes, Lethal Weapon 2 did make 147 million domestically. Die Hard 4, the highest grossing Die Hard, made 134 domestically. You can't argue with the numbers. That one goes to Riggs. Next category, best humor. Now, this is who's the funniest character in each one of their movies. There's some great one-liners from Martin Riggs, but I really think the most memorable one-liners come from John McClane. I mean, and their humor is great in both movies. It's almost a dead tie as far as what makes me laugh. But if you ask me to quote one of those lines without recently watching the movies, I would be able to quote some stuff from Die Hard. And really the line that comes to mind is that, where he's crawling. You remember where he's crawling through the ventilator shaft and he stops and lights the lighter and he's like, come to town, have a few laughs, click, and he turns it off. Yeah, that's a funny line. That's your typical sarcastic John McClane humor.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
And then I also love it when he's like, now I know what a TV dinner feels like.
I know what a TV dinner feels like.
He kills Carl's brother and he's like, now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. Look, this one is a no-brainer in my mind. I mean, I think McClane wins best humor. Even though Riggs is funny, McClane's got those fantastic one-liners.
Riggs is really funny. He's got some wonderful moments. One of my favorite Riggs moments is where he is at the Christmas tree farm doing the drug deal because he's undercover, and he does the Three Stooges things and pokes the guys in the eyes, and that's really funny. But yeah, I think overall we're gonna have to throw this one up to John McClane. Most memorable lines for sure. Most quotable lines. Best humor, definitely John McClane.
Okay, next category, folks. Who would you want to do security at your child's birthday party? Look, McClane's there. He's going to make a couple of wisecracks. He's going to have a beer. He's going to want to watch the game. But overall, I think Riggs wins this one. I think I would rather have Riggs as private security at my kid's birthday party than over McClane.
I see Riggs with like an earpiece, he's kind of, he's got other guys there working with him. He's got it coordinated. He's making sure that everything's safe. Special forces kind of, wise. John McClane, he's there by himself. Maybe he has a few too many beers, but if terrorists do attack your kid's birthday party, he will take care of business. So I think overall, for the most, normal threats that would occur during a child's birthday party, I'm going to go with Martin Riggs on this one. This next category is very similar. It has to deal with your kids, Schneider, is that who would you want out of Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon and John McClane from Die Hard? Who would you want to sit your kid down for a talk? Not the talk, but a talk where they're going to sit them down and teach them a life lesson. They've had a hard day, they made a mistake, whatever it is. Who's going to sit them down on their knee and give them a life talk? Who would you prefer?
Look, I got to go with McClane. McClane is going to give him the straight talk business. I'm going with McClane. If I'm going to have, one of these guys sit down and talk to my son about girls, about sports, I'm going with John McClane.
Well, I don't want either of them to talk to my kid about girls, but I do as far as dealing with a bully or dealing with any challenges in life. I'm going to go with McClane too. He just seems like he's going to be a little more personable. He's a little more understanding, a little more everyday man. Martin Riggs, a little crazy. Been diagnosed. I mean, seriously, as crazy. So I'm going to go definitely with John McClane on this one. I want him to sit my kid down and explain the birds and bees. No, I'm kidding about the birds and bees, but I want him to explain life.
Next one. Actual actor fight. This is tough. I think Bruce Willis is probably a decent scrapper in real life. Mel Gibson, he's kind of got the rage.
He's angry.
He's got the rage.
Yeah, he's an angry fella.
He is an angry guy, and I've got to go with Riggs. I think Gibson beats the shit out of Willis in an actual actor fight.
In an actual actor fight, I'm not saying Bruce Willis couldn't hold his own, that he's not a tough guy and couldn't make shit happen. But overall, I think that rage is going to come out in Mel Gibson. And I know for a fact that he has had stem cell treatment. He's going to be a little tougher for the age. I'm going to throw this up to Gibson, which by default will go to Martin Riggs. So this makes this next one really, really important here, okay? This is, with these two guys, a very important category, but for this contest, a very important category, because currently the score is 5-10 right now. And that's 10 for Martin Riggs and 5 for John McClane. So this next category, incidentally, is worth a total of 5 points. So whoever wins this category is either, if you're Martin Riggs already at 10, you're going to go way ahead. Or if you're John McClane and you have 5 and you add 5, you're going to tie right now. So this is kind of a big deal here, Schneider. So get ready. Put your thinking cap on for this one. This category is important. Who is John McClane from Die Hard or Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon? Who is the craziest?
McClane's crazy. To take out and to do some of the shit he's done, taking out helicopters with one shot, with one bullet. I mean,
jumping out of windows with the fire hose. Out of windows. I mean, you got to be a little nuts for that.
Riggs jumping off a building with a guy who's trying to commit suicide. I got to tell you, I think Riggs is the craziest.
I mean, as far as like certifiable, definitely Riggs. Behavioral, risk-wise, it's really been McClane. McClane has really risked it all when you think about it. So he jumped out of the building with the fire hose. Okay. He ran across the broken glass with bare feet. He made a movie with that boomerang guy from Suicide Squad. I mean, those are crazy things to do. And Martin Riggs definitely, showed himself as being crazy. Yeah, he did jump off the building. He had a psychiatrist that was following him. So, I mean, this is a really tough one, man.
It's a tough one. I mean, look, you could argue either way. You could say craziest overall might have been Riggs. You could say craziest overall might have been McClane. Look, if someone's got a gun to my head, I think Riggs is a lot more crazy because he's actually got a gun sticking in his mouth and he's thinking about shooting himself in the head in Lethal Weapon. So he's suicidal. I think he is crazy.
He did have that one special bullet that he was keeping for himself. So I think as far as actual evidence is concerned, where we know there was a psychiatrist involved and he as part of his monologue, said, hey, I'm crazy. I want to kill myself. So undeniably evidence-based. I think I got to go with it too. Martin Riggs is the most craziest, which gives him 5 additional points. And by my math, Schneider, puts Martin Riggs way ahead. He is now at a 15 to John McClane's 5. And we had 2 ties. Best fight. You thought that it was John McClane versus the blonde hair guy. I thought it was Gary Busey takes on Martin Riggs in the first Lethal Weapon. That was a tie. And then our second tie.
The next tie was Best Marksman. Monty and I disagreed on that. So in the case of the rules, we're going with a tie. It's a split decision. It's a tie. So it's a punt. So basically, the way I look at it is 5 categories, McClane won. 10 categories, Riggs won. There were 2 ties, but Riggs wins overall because he also got those 5 points for the craziest. So it's 15 to 5 to 2 in terms of points, even though they just basically doubled up. So for, it was a 2-1 victory for Riggs. Riggs beat McClane 2-1.
Points wise, he definitely did. In an actual fight, if they were to do an Alien versus Predator, but it was going to be a Riggs versus McClane movie, that would be a hell of a movie that I would pay to see. That's for damn sure. But I think ultimately in that situation, John McClane's going to be hard to kill. He's going to die really hard. Martin Riggs, though, overall with his training is just a little more superior. So I'm going to give this to, they fight. Guns, hands, it doesn't matter. Martin Riggs comes out the victor, but John McClane doesn't die.
Right. McClane, does not die. John McClane will not die. So he does not die. Riggs beats him at the very end, but McClane lights up a cigarette and goes and bangs his wife. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Holly, yes. Yeah, hopefully that happens. He's going to have a drink, that's for damn sure. So I think we can wrap this one up.
Yep.
We can say that overall, the first episode of Versus, which I feel fantastic about to say that the winner of John McClane from Die Hard and Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon is Mr. Martin Riggs.
Folks, join us again next time where we will analyze fights between different people, or it could be a chess match involving like Stephen Hawking versus Christopher Reeves. There's a lot of stuff. It could be a yelling match between Tom Cruise and Christian Bale. There's a lot of different things we have in store this season on Versus.
Folks, can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be a great time. We can't wait to come back to you with a brand new episode of Versus.